Hey everybody, I get to tell you about a new piece, just finished up, quite excited about in terms of the story and the design of this. This piece is called Four of a Kind, and you'll notice we've got here 3 horses and this Mustang man up here. Now this comes from, I read several different accounts of this Mustanger, and his name was Bob Lemon. In fact, J. Frank Dobie calls him the most unusual Mustanger he's ever met. And in that context, he was a former slave, and what he did was very unusual, in particular for the times. Now, you're talking post-Civil War and right up into the early part of the 20th century. And what he would do when he went out, in those days they were, of course, there was so many wild horses after the Civil War, and they were all being brought in. It was sort of like the cattle that just had proliferated during those years. So guys were bringing them in, and most of the time, they go out and they don't kind of surround the herd, pushing wherever they wanted to go. A lot of horses got hurt. It was not a real gentle way of gathering these Mustangs. But what Lemon would do, he rode a little stud horse, a black stud horse, and he would go out and he would spend weeks following a herd. And what he would do is begin to work his way into the herd where they accepted him. He would then become the leader of that herd. And then, once they were following his lead, he would go ahead and he could have those horses follow him anywhere, because he was the herd leader. And he would take them and he would get them into a run, and he would take that whole herd and guide them right into a trap that had brush in that and bring them in, and then they would close the gates. And the neat part about that was he would bring in entire herds of horses. They never got hurt, and they weren't damaged in any way as a result of his methods. And he really learned how horses think. It was highly unusual for that period. So what I've done is depicted Lemon here up at the lead. He's leading the way here on this old horse. You can see his slicker. He would stay up there for weeks, and he had to wear the same clothes. He couldn't get near anybody. He slept in he had a whole puncher he carried with him. You can see it here on the back of his saddle. And of course, it was a real typical Sam Stagg rig at that time. I'll pull it around, you can kind of see. Ring bit here, got his flat reins in that, and he's really just moving on. You can see these 2 mares now following him right along behind that old stud, and he's bringing them right into the place where they can get caught, and that way those horses could be used and put to good use, but they didn't get hurt. It's a wonderful composition. It really carries off nicely. And you can see this old mare just coming around, they're just smoking as they come through here. So it's got a lot of action, and it's a really unique story. It's called Four of a Kind, and I call it 4 because he thought just like a horse. Thank you.